This week, we prepare for the beloved holiday Thanksgiving. And you know, Thanksgiving is so much more than just football or a gathering to stuff ourselves on turkey and pumpkin pie. It really is a holiday that calls us to step back from all the craziness of our lives and recognize how much we have been blessed. The problem is, most of us only really do that on Thanksgiving. It's a day to reflect, it's a day to remember, and it is a day to give thanks, which is great, but that needs to be much more than just one day. Recently, I was reading an author, Adrian von Speer, who calls us to think of 1,000 things to give God thanks for. Now, I haven't quite gotten there yet with 1,000. Most of us would have a hard time coming up with just 100. But the point is that the more we think about what there is to give thanks, the more we recognize God's presence in our lives, even in the difficult or challenging times. And this author talks about frustrating times, like being stuck in traffic, in gridlock, where we're angry and upset and frustrated, but then noticing a beautiful tree. Or for myself, the other day that happened, and I noticed on the side of the road a mother deer with her fawn sitting feeding. And that moment of beauty was a reminder that even in the midst of the frustration and the anger of being stuck on the beltway in traffic, God's beauty is there. God's presence is there if we're willing to take notice. And that's why it's so important to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Because when we concentrate on the blessings, it's much easier, even in the difficult and challenging times, to see God's hand, to see His presence, and to realize we're not alone. Maybe, unfortunately, if we're not always focusing on the gifts, if we're not always grateful, we miss those moments of beauty. We miss those moments of God's presence. We miss those moments God's trying to help us in our lives. That's why gratitude is so important. Maybe coming up with 1,000 things to be grateful for might seem like a pretty impossible task. When you think about it, it probably isn't. God blesses us abundantly every day with so many unseen blessings that we don't even take notice of. And that's the challenge of Thanksgiving, to stop and take notice of the blessings God gives us, the great ones and the small ones, signs of His love, signs of His presence, signs that we are never alone in our lives. Not a sermon, not a homily, but just something for all of us to think about.